A wonderful evening and welcome to the National News on Honor 103.5 FM. First, the headlines. President Tinubu appoints new service chiefs. Oluyede replaces Musa as defense chief. Nigeria removed from global financial watch list by Financial Action Task Force, FATF. On the pace of the state, Oyo State government declares revoked land no longer federal property. And on the foreign scene, United States pushes for Gaza security forces in the midst of ongoing talks. And in sports, Marcus Rashford enjoying time at Barcelona, eyes permanent move. Now the news and details. I am Richard Ekpo. Let's begin with reports that President Bola Tinubu has announced changes in the hierarchy of the Nigeria service chiefs aimed at strengthening the country's national security architecture. General Olufemi Oluyede has been appointed as the new Chief of Defense Staff, replacing General Christopher Musa. Other appointments include Major General W. Shaibu as Chief of Army Staff, Air Vice Marshal S.K. Aneke as Chief of Air Staff, and Rear Admiral 1. Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff. Major General E.A.P. Udende retains his position as Chief of Defense Intelligence. Tinubu expressed appreciation to outgoing service chiefs for their patriotic service and dedicated leadership, charging the new appointees to enhance professionalism, vigilance, and comradeship within Nigeria's armed forces. The Financial Action Task Force has officially removed Nigeria from its grey list, citing the country's successful implementation of a 19-point action plan to strengthen its anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism framework. Nigeria was placed on the list in February 2023 due to strategic deficiencies in its AML-CFT system. The FATF commended Nigeria's efforts, including the enactment of the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. Director of the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit, Hafsat Bakari, described the delisting as a historic moment underscoring Nigeria's commitment to financial transparency and integrity. From the pace to the state, the Oyo State government has declared that revoked lands are no longer federal property, following a public notice by the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development warning Nigerians against purchasing listed properties in Oyo State. Commissioner for Land, Housing and Urban Development, Akinfunmilayo Williams, stated that the property had been lawfully revoked and reallocated after years of abandonment and misuse. Williams accused federal agencies of acting above the law and violating state planning regulations, citing examples like the Africa Regional Center for Engineering Design and Manufacturing, ACADEM, property, which became a security threat due to neglect. The commissioner emphasized that Oyo State is sovereign in land administration guided by the Land Use Act of 1978. He assured investors that the state's action aimed to promote sustainable urban growth and protect assets, not to create panic. And on the foreign scene, the U.S. is making progress in forming an international security force for Gaza, with several countries expressing interest in participating. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio revealed this during a visit to Israel, emphasizing that Israel must be comfortable with the countries involved. Rubio stressed that the International Stabilization Force will be deployed as soon as possible, but acknowledged challenges ahead, including Hamas disarmament and governance of Gaza. And in sports, England winger Marcus Rashford is thriving at Barcelona, where he currently is on loan from Manchester United. The 27-year-old has expressed his enjoyment of the Catalan club, which holds an option to make his move permanent for €28 million. Rashford's contract with United runs out to 2038, but it seems unlikely he'll return to Old Trafford after current manager Ruben Amorim. The forward credits his change of scenery for his improved performance, scoring 5 goals in 12 games for Barcelona. This week, Rashford netted a double against Olympiacos in the Champions League and is set to play in his first El Clasico against Real Madrid this weekend. And that was the news on Honor 103.5 FM, as compiled and edited by Adid Damola Saka. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media handles. That's Honor 103.5 FM. The news was compiled and edited by Adid Damola Saka. I am Richard Ekpo. Thank you for listening. Up next is Lagwarida.